Hello and welcome to the 2019 FIA Certified Gran Turismo Championships. It is the Nations Cup for the North America region, the Top 16 Superstars event coming up for you. My name is Tom Brooks, alongside me Chaz Draycott, here to guide you through the action today as we get ready to see what will happen out on circuit. It's going to be an interesting one this, Chaz, of course, because we've got some of the quickest cars in GT, we've got some of the most talented drivers as well, so it's pretty unpredictable.
Yeah, and a very technical circuit ahead of them as well. It's a very level playing field, of course, everyone being in the same car, and that's what makes these races even more interesting to watch because, you know, the actual difference in the pace between everyone is so minimal. So there's plenty of action, plenty of overtaking, and I'm sure we'll see the same that we've seen in the other regions. Well,
let's take a look, shall we, at the point standings after 39 rounds of the Top 16 Superstars. It's Turismo Defsun who leads the field, 28,047 points. He is just over 500 points there ahead of Carlam, who is in second position. So a strong result from Carlam here could turn things around on the tables. Turismo Windfire in third, then Turismo Leicester in fourth position. Then FT Ant, otherwise known, of course, as Anthony Felix, is in fifth position. Then Originals 14, otherwise known as Randall Hayward, is in 16th. Then Gumball, Hendricks and NZ and Put inside the top 10. So not too bad in terms of the gaps there. Chaz, could see a few changes taking place here today.
Yeah, definitely. Even though there's 39 rounds gone, one decent result for somebody and then, you know, a sort of a contrasting bad result for someone else, it could change everything. So it'll be interesting to see what we have changed after this round. It is quite an even spread, like you say, from first all the way down to 16th. So yeah, I'm excited to see what sort of pressure these guys have on them to make sure they maintain their position.
Well, of course, it's the 10 best results out of the 40 rounds for the drivers that count towards their total points standings. So let's see whether there are going to be any changes in the overall point standings here later on this afternoon. Let's take a closer look, shall we, at the circuit we're going to be driving on, though. It's a fictional track on Gran Turismo Sport, the Lago Maggiore GP circuit. If it was real, it would be based in the north of Italy. As it happens, that is where it is based in the game as well. 5.2 kilometres long it is, runs in a clockwise direction. A relatively fast and flowing. There's quite a few sweeping corners, as you can see, but for turns 1 and turns 2. Now, the first lap here could be pretty exciting and very crucial to the outcome of this race.
Yeah, definitely. The slow corners, turns 1 and 2, like you say. Very sort of pivotal part of the circuit, especially at the beginning when everybody's trying to go for it, make moves early on. Big elevation changes, you can see that last sector going up the hill all the way towards the slower last few corners. The last corner, though, when they're coming down the hill, has been very tricky for a lot of people because as it does go downhill and the grip gradually comes to you as the corner opens up, there's been people running wide on the grass all over the place.
Yeah, quite. And this circuit does have a very small margin for error, not really a lot of room for that. So keep an eye out and see if there are any drivers that are making any errors as they're being put under pressure or indeed putting somebody else under pressure. You might see a few drivers cracking. You can see the penalty line there on the right-hand side of your screen as well, just coming out of turn 4 down towards turn number 5. That is where if they are given a time penalty for either exceeding track limits, unsportsmanlike behaviour, etc., that is where they will serve that penalty. They will be slowed down for the determined number of seconds on under their name, and then they will continue in the race thereafter. So if you get a penalty early doors in particular, that could really put you on the back foot. In terms of the race details, then let's have a closer look, shall we, and just get confirmation as to the cars and the track we're competing in. So the Autodromo Lago Maggiore GP circuit, Red Bull X2019 cars, which of course have featured very heavily in the World Tour event to date. Racing medium and soft tyres, though, with 3 times fuel consumption, 9 times tyre wear. Their Chaz strategy is going to be a very interesting part of this race.
Yeah, it really is. Like I say, with the tyre wear and the fuel consumption being so sort of amplified like that, you can see there the softs, 4 laps is a very short duration of the tyre life that they're expected to get. We're probably expecting these guys to push a set of softs and then just get a pit stop in and then just manage the second set to the end. We've seen that the dirty air is quite a heavy factor in these cars. So to get your moves and build gaps early on has seemed really pivotal so far. I don't think we'll see people on mediums.
No, I think it's very unlikely. 1.7 seconds being the lap time difference, and even if you decide to go the whole race with mediums, given the fact you only lose 5 seconds or so in the pits, you know, that's 3 laps, isn't it? Basically, is the difference between the pace on the tyres. So it's not really worth doing at all on those medium compounds. So the likelihood is it will be a soft run for these drivers. But when they pit, will be the very interesting point. Anyway, with that said, then let's head over to the grid, shall we, and get the North America's region race underway. Carl Lamb on pole position, put alongside Turismo Leicester in third position at the head of the second row, and Hendricks alongside him, away from the lights, and we go. And good start there from Carl Lamb, good start from Turismo Leicester from third position. Keep an eye out for Put though, he's dragging with Turismo Leicester side by side down towards the first corner, and Hendricks there on the outside as well. Carl Lamb does hold on to his race lead. Leicester versus Put, the two Canadians going side by side. Put on the inside there, and he managed to get the move done through turn number 2. Very impressive stuff there. Here's TTG Zenit coming under some pressure from Gumball CTG behind as well. We ride on board with the American driver now, who is putting all sorts of pressure and has had a very promising opening lap, as running wide there was Put out of the right-hander of turn number 4.
Yeah, Turismo Leicester gets a penalty there. He made contact with him, pushed him off the circuit. Not quite sure whether it was just a simple mistake from him, but obviously he's going to pay the price for it now. Put's going to be quite happy to have seen that penalty get handed out, but he's got Hendricks 323 all over him as well. So it's not like he's home and dry already. Whoa! Big moment there. Too much curb. We saw this in other races as well. You can unsettle these cars so much. A bit of argy-bargy there with Hendricks as well. And now surely TTG Zenit's going to get a run here. This is mad stuff on the first lap.
Brilliant stuff, isn't it? Well, Hendricks got a really poor run, of course, out of turn 10 as a result of that oversteer. Here he goes, though, trying to send it down the inside of Put. He gets the move done and dusted. Brilliant bit of driving there from Hendricks. He manages to take advantage. I really thought TTG Zenit would profit a little bit more from all that drama unfolding in front of him.
Yeah, definitely. He just doesn't seem to take advantage of it or get the move done where he needed. He's got a couple of guys behind him as well, all bunched up. That's Gumball's CGT, we've got Sprint Cup champ and Oakley Fino as well. So a real train of cars going on here. But the thing we've got to think about, Tom, is Carl Lamb at the front of the field. He's got a 1.6 second lead over Turismo Leicester, who's then got a 5-second penalty as well. So
yeah, absolutely brilliant stuff there for Carl Lamb. Fantastic start to his race. Look at Sprint Cup champ. He was trying to send it down the inside of Oakley Fino. Down towards the first corner we go. Sprint Cup champ on the defensive as Gumball CTG had a really good run out of turn 17 onto the start finish straight. Oakley Fino in front of him goes defensive as well. Takes that tighter line through turn 2. Out of it now we do, and then flick left into turns 3 and then into the right immediately of turn number 4. This is where the penalty zone is. So the drivers who have been given penalties here on this opening lap, including Turismo Leicester, who serves it now, you can see him dropping back 5 seconds through the field. That is a horrible, horrible feeling. There's nothing he can do. When is he going to re-emerge, and where is he going to be on track? He's down in 8th position. That is a disaster for the Canadian driver, who is in 3rd position, don't forget, in the standings before this weekend.
Yeah, he's going to be absolutely kicking himself for that. It may have just been a simple mistake, like I said, that caused the contact. Real shame for it to happen. Here is Oakley Fino in that wonderfully liveried Red Bull X 2019 competition car. But Sprint Cup champ is going to get an absolute eyeful of it as they go down towards turn 11. Look at this massive drop down the hill. They're doing about 200 miles an hour as they get into there onto the brakes. Oh, it looks like Oakley Fino went deep, but he manages to hit the apex though. Really good control. Sprint Cup champ got a little bit of a better run out of there, but he's following in the dirty air now, and that's where it gets more and more difficult each time.
That's the thing about turn 11, that's the corner you were talking about there, Chaz, with the difference in lines. You can take a different line into there and often profit from it. Oakley Fino then makes a bit of a mistake. He slips a little bit wide. That allows Sprint Cup champ to really be all over the back bumper. Meanwhile, Carl Lamb is 4 seconds ahead as we look at Oakley Fino and Sprint Cup champ going head to head. Mistakes being made by the pair of them, but still no positions being changed. A little bit wide there out of the final turn of turn 17 for Oakley Fino. Now, is he going to go defensive against Sprint Cup champ, or he's going to let him through and try and follow him down towards the first corner we go? He defends his line. There's a bit of contact between them, but Sprint Cup champ goes through. He's on the grass though, is Oakley Fino. He goes through, and here comes Gumball as well into the far end. Oh, Oakley Fino spins round. He gets on the grass out of turn 2, and here comes Sprint Cup champ, and he's got a 5-second penalty following that contact between those two drivers.
That was really, really elbows out stuff. I don't think that Oakley Fino was very happy about being turned into turn 1, so he just thought, I'm going to go across the grass, I'm going to put my car where we're either going to have an incident or you're going to avoid me, and then it just came to blows after that, unfortunately. Real shame to see it. Gumball, of course, is going to get the position eventually when Sprint Cup champ gets the penalty, but it's a shame for it to come out to blows like that, isn't it?
Yeah, very, very disappointing. Whoa. Indeed, look at the state of that. All sorts of sideways there for Gumball CTG. Turismo Leicester, who of course was given a penalty on the opening lap, profits. He gets a great run out of turn 10. They draw side by side. Gumball on the inside with a defensive line. Can Turismo Leicester hang it around the outside into turn 11? He's not close enough. He tries for the switchback, but Gumball's all over the curb there as well, and exceeding track limits. He gets a good exit out of that corner. Does Turismo Leicester. Gumball with the defensive line through the S-bend ends we come into the final sector, and Turismo Leicester down the inside of Gumball CTG. Does he get the move done? Yes, he does. The Canadian is now into 6th position.
That was really, really brave stuff there through there. That was unbelievable pace. A little bit of contact. Looked like Gumball's just had a bit of a moment behind them as well. And he's dropped down now. He's got DV Stewart behind him, and then Road Beef as well. Look how close these boys are together. They're trying everything, but I think Gumball's absolutely shattered his tyres at this point. We've got Outlaw Quadrant going into the pits early on here. We're already on lap 4 out of 9. This race has been an absolute corker already.
Yeah, frenetic action up and down the field, not necessarily for the race leaders. Carl Lamb is streaking off into the distance. He'll be in a different postcode by the end of this one if he carries on the way he is. But Hendricks doesn't seem to have an answer for him. Here is Sprint Cup champ, then that 5-second penalty that he's about to serve now, out of turn 4, on the run, down towards turn 5 here.
Yeah, he's going to serve that. It's going to be a bit of a harsh one for him, but at the end of the day, he's got to deal with it. He's going to drop down to 9th position now, as he just pops out here ahead of Racing Swordsman. Got a bit of damage on the front left that you can see. Whoa, out of shape as well. But that's the thing, these guys that have been involved in incidents, they may have overheated the tyres in doing so, a bit of sliding around. Oakley Fino in the pits as well.
But why is he in the pits for so long? It's only a 5-second stop. There's Road Beef getting out of shape as well as he clips the grass, but Oakley Fino in the pits there, and not seemingly coming out of it. So some problems there for Oakley Fino, either in the pit lane, maybe he's having some problems at home as well with his game. Something's had a disconnection or something like that. But either way, Oakley Fino definitely now out of contention here in this race.
Yeah, it could maybe could be having damage sorted or something. Not sure really. We'll have to see. But yeah, it's a shame for him to have lost that, because that was a really good battle they had going on. Road Beef there though, showing us that he was having all sorts of moments. He's really pushing hard to catch Gumball, who was having moments of his own before, and he's done it again. Road Beef into the back of him.
But he manages to just keep it on the straight and narrow. I don't know how he did that as Hendricks pits from 2nd position. Defensive there from Road Beef. Keep an eye out as well for DV Stewart in the background. They all come into the pit lane at exactly the same time. So who is going to emerge first? Road Beef into the box then. So soft compound tyres, of course, going on all of these drivers' cars. Now where is he going to emerge? He comes back out on track. He's at the head of the queue of these drivers. There's Gumball, there's DV Stewart. So they're exactly the same as they were when they went into the pit lane here.
Yeah, and of course, Gumball's tyres must have been absolutely destroyed at the end of that. He was sliding around so much, the rear end. It might be setup dependent, but wow, that thing was really alive. So hopefully he can get his head down now. Now he's got the rubber underneath him and really start making some inroads. But like I say, his race has already been sort of put to bed, already down to 9th position. But like you were saying before, Carl Lamb now, 9-second, nearly 10-second lead at the front. He's absolutely dominating it.
Amazing stuff. Bear in mind he hasn't pitted, so of course he's a little bit further in front than he would have been otherwise. But Carl Lamb doing a fantastic job out in the lead of this race. Look at the beautiful pink livery. And he's got the Racing Point-esque livery on that Red Bull X 2019 competition machine, and he is doing fantastic stuff out there. He looks calm, he looks comfortable, he doesn't look like he's at any pressure at all, because of course he's not on track, and he's just driving his own race, extending that advantage corner after corner, lap after lap, and surely now is when we'll see him coming into the pit lane. He's got so much of an advantage, he'll emerge in the race lead by a comfortable margin.
Yeah, he's just absolutely on rails, wasn't he, around that last sector. Absolutely flawless as the guys get the job done. Out he goes, straight out into turn 1. And yeah, he hasn't even lost the lead as Put comes in behind him then.
Turismo Leicester also boxing as well from 3rd position in that race. TTG Zenit does go through. Where are they going to emerge? Back out on track. Put emerges into 4th. Turismo Leicester into P5. So the podium is as it was, of course, before the start of the pit stop phase. Carl Lamb still leading the way by 7 seconds now over Hendricks, then TTG Zenit. Hugely impressive stuff. All the field now beginning to spread out after this pit stop phase here, Chaz, as well. This is what we've seen in other regions as well. It's all really close in the first sort of phases of the race. In the latter stages of it, though, it sort of begins to, as we said, spread out just that little bit more. And that allows all the drivers to just have a bit more of a comfortable margin towards the end of the race.
Yeah, and it gets a bit tougher for them, really, because the different times that they've all pitted, of course, everyone's at a different point in their tyre's life. So some people do carry a bit more pace. It's very amplified, of course. 9 times tyre wear in these races. But when these guys are trying to catch up to the car in front and they're getting into the dirty air, we've seen a lot of issues with people really closing onto the back of them. They have to really get it nailed into the slower corners rather than the faster sections, where Sprint Cup champ is right now, right underneath Davey Stewart, with the Turismo Windfire just in front of them as well, side by side, turn left, bit of contact there by the look of it, Tom, and a bit more.
Yeah, very close racing between all of these guys. 3 drivers running nose to tail. Sprint Cup champ, of course, really out of position here given his pace in this race, but that 5-second penalty that he was hit with has hindered his race massively, down in 11th position, outside of the top 10 here. Big disappointment there for him. And look at DB Stewart, he is all over the road at the moment. Sprint Cup champ is clearly the faster of the 2 drivers, and the Canadian is defending as good as he can, but he's not got the pace behind him, underneath him, not got the confidence in the car that Sprint Cup champ does. And surely it's only going to be a matter of time before the American tries to find a way past.
Yeah, it's going to be when, not if, I think, at this point. But look at the gap starting to open up down the straights. That's when the dirty air comes into it on the faster sections of the track. You always get that sort of concertina effect, where through a slow corner like this, they'll be right together and then they spread out when they get out of it. So it's just about managing it. Corners like this here, that's where he's really going to struggle. But I'd be interested to just stay on and see how he gets through 6, 7 and 8. They're going down the straight now towards turn 5, which is going to be a slower right-hander as they start going back up the hill. Onto the brakes they go then, turns it in. We've seen guys clipping the grass there on the way in. This is going to be the interesting bit now though for Sprint Cup champ, because it's a very fast section, it's downforce dependent, and he's quite close to the back of Davey Stewart, so let's have a look. Yeah, look at it, just doesn't want to hit the apexes or turn in, it really washes away. And you can just see, look at that, it's just, it's a very apparent effect. Of course, he's picked up the slipstream now, so it does sort of balance out, and he's going to get a great run down there. It's probably one of the best runs we've seen all day.
Yeah, he's going for it, then he's down the inside, side by side they come, Sprint Cup champ, down the inside, late on the brakes, has a lunge, makes the apex. The American does get through on DV Stewart. Brilliant bit of driving there.
Take some of that, he absolutely nailed that on the brakes. That was a really determined and hard-driven manoeuvre, and that's the sort of stuff we love. But Davey Stewart doesn't want to let him get away with that. He's really weaving around all over the back of him. So Sprint Cup champ isn't it's not really home and dry here, to be honest. I'll tell you someone who might be, and that's Carl Lamb.
Yeah, Carl Lamb is 8.9 seconds ahead of the rest of the field. It's so hard to overstate what a brilliant job that he is doing out there on circuit, because he has just led from start to finish. He's increasing that gap lap after lap. He looks so comfortable behind the wheel, as we've been saying throughout the entirety of this race, that it is hugely impressive to see him doing so well. Here is Put then in 4th position, just behind TTG Zenit. So this is a top 3 position that these guys are going to be squabbling for. Now, in terms of the lap times between them, last time around TTG Zenit a 1:36.632, whereas Put a 1:36.270. So nearly 3.5 tenths faster over the course of that one. So that is very interesting indeed.
Yeah, and only 1 lap left after this one, so it'll be interesting to see whether now he's got close enough to be in that dirty air that we keep talking about. It might affect his pace a little bit, but we'll have to see. On board with him now as they go down towards turn 11. You see the speed build up just as they drop down now. Look, they hit 190 and then it suddenly becomes 200 mile an hour. It's amazing to see on the brakes.
Yeah, they're scrubbing all that speed off in a very short amount of time. There's Put just a little bit squirrely over the curve. We've seen a few drivers being a bit greedy there on that inside curve. Sausage curves on the inside, because of the way that this car runs, where it's so low to the ground, the downforce aerodynamics really coming into play quite a lot. It's so easy to just unsettle the car on those curves, make a mistake, and then you're suddenly correcting the back end or washing the front end wide.
Yeah, they're almost like ground effect cars, these things. So once you do lift it up a little bit, it disturbs the airflow underneath it, and these curbs are not really the most helpful things when it comes to that. But it looks like Turismo Leicester's got some really good pace here. I mean, we've seen him be quick before in other races, of course. But he's starting to... well, if I was Put, I'd be worried about this, you know, because there's the potential of a podium in front of him with TTG Zenit, but look at Turismo Leicester, he's all over him. Yeah, he
makes a bit of a mistake, actually, coming out of turn 2, which doesn't help his run going through turn 3. He takes a tighter line going through there. Of course, he is in the dirty air. Likewise, Put, though, so it's kind of a bit of apples and oranges really going on here between them, because they kind of are both in the same boat here, really, as it stands. They don't really have the effect of the slipstream too much. Turismo Leicester a little bit more so than Put with TTG Zenit, for example. So let's keep an eye on and see whether any of them go for a bit of a late lunge down in towards turn number 11. The pressure is really on these drivers. No pressure though for our race leader of Carl Lamb, who is 12.1 seconds ahead now on this final lap. Hugely impressive stuff, but this battle for the final podium spot still does rain on. I think TTG Zenit has just got a bit of a gap to hold off the charge of the two Canadians behind, but will Lester think about a lunge down into turn 11? I don't think he's quite close enough to make anything stick through there, and if it was a lunge, it would be the latest lunge of his life, and indeed he doesn't think about anything through there, so unless he can force put to make a mistake in this final sector, I think that is how the race is going to finish between these three drivers. Speaking of the race coming to finish though, Carl Lamb about to come through the final corner. What an absolutely brilliant drive it has been from the American. He's led from start to finish. He comes over the line to win the Nations Cup race for the North Americas region in the top 16 superstars. Hendricks is going to finish 12.6 seconds down the road. What an impressive performance from Carl Lamb. A great performance from Hendricks in second place, and to the line it's going to be a podium battle, but TTG Zenit does just hold off put to the line there, with Turismo Leicester very close behind in 5th position. Outlaw Quadrant finishes in 6th place, then Roadbeef in 7th. Sprint Cup champ is going to be 8th. Turismo Windfire 9th. DV Stewart there just inside the top 10. And you can see the other cars over the line. Look at Khan versus Gumball CTG to the line for 12th place.
Nice little battle over the line there between those boys. But what a performance by Carl Lamb. The end margin ended up actually being 13.1 seconds. That's an incredibly dominant performance. Awesome to see Put and Turismo Leicester still putting the pressure on TTG Zenit there. But there's the man of the hour though, Carl Lamb. Unbelievable performance, just drove away from it.
Exactly what he needed to do, what he wanted to do. A dominant performance there from Carl Lamb. Let's take a final look at the results then, and easily the fastest lap to the surprise of absolutely nobody. Look at that, audacious times, 1:34.569. That is a second or so quicker than anybody else around him. A lot quicker than Hendricks, 1.5 seconds faster than the man who finished in second place. That is hugely impressive for all of those guys. Turismo Windfire there, we said, in 9th. DV Stewart inside the top 10. Racing Swordsman, Calm, Gumball, CTG, straight raced, and Oakley Fino USA, who didn't finish that race, ended it in the pit lane for one reason or another. Well, absolutely fantastic stuff. Let's take a look, shall we, at the final standings after 40 rounds of the 2019 Top 6 Superstars races. And there we are. Carl Lamb at the top of the order. He overtakes Turismo Defsun following that race. So he finishes on top in the final round.
Absolutely amazing. That's the perfect time to do it as well. It'd be the most satisfying thing for him to have got that done, and I really hope he is happy with that. Put, of course, goes up to 9th place, overtakes NZ, who we didn't see in that one. TTG Zenit goes up with Outlaw Quadrant as well, and then his teammate TTG Destroyer and Sprint Cup champ actually both go down the order. So nice bit of a mix there, but of course the important one there, with that performance as well, what a way to seal it for Carl Lamb.
Absolutely amazing stuff there from Carl Lamb, right at the very end of the Top 16 Superstars Championship in the Nations Cup for the North Americas region. He just manages to mug Turismo Defsun. Brilliant performance from him. Anyway, our focus now shifts over to the next Gran Turismo event. World Tour 4 takes place at the Red Bull Hangar 7. We'll have action from the Manufacturer Series and the Nations Cup on Friday and Saturday, the 13th and 14th of September. We really hope you can join us and hope to see you there as well.